I've always been really passionate about non-alcoholic drinks, and what we've always called our boozeless cocktails in the bar, we've tried to put on the same level as what we do with all of our other cocktails. So coming back from Japan, I was really amazed by discovering some of the different versions of this powerhouse of ingredient for making non-alcoholic cocktails, and that was tea. So we picked up some black tea from Japan, and this is a wonderful ingredient to be able to use to not only kind of build in a layer of flavor and this wonderful complexity, but it also brings texture. And that's one of the key things you want to be able to incorporate into your drinks if you're doing something non-alcoholic. It's sometimes the thing that people lack when they want to be able to have something to cheers with, something that feels celebratory like an amazing cocktail, and it's missing out on some of that weight, that texture, that body that alcohol can bring. So tea is a little bit of a secret ingredient for being able to build a really complex non-alcoholic drink. So what we've looked to do is use some loose leaf tea. This is a great ingredient to pick up. It's stable, you can get a ton of different varieties. You can have everything that travels from light and bright through to robust and kind of fuller bodied. And we've tried to be able to pick out some of those fruitier notes. So to do that, we've actually cold brewed this tea. So we take the tea, steep it in water like you would if you were making a little cuppa, but we then left it to rest in the fridge. We've steeped it for a couple of hours to draw out some of those fruitier flavors alongside some of that grip in the tannin, rather than brewing it hot where you're going to get a lot of those more robust style flavors. Of course, you can use tea bag tea if you want. The only thing that tends to happen with tea bag tea is it's the much finer grazed bits. You get a little bit more bitterness, and you sometimes miss on those nuances that really makes tea so fascinating. So to counterbalance that, we've got this cold brew tea that's going to be this wonderful ingredient to celebrate, which ends up coming through in this kind of wonderful, kind of bright manner. You get some of that maltiness, you get a little bit of fruitiness. You've also got everything from red fruit notes through to citrus. So really wanted to have something that could kind of play to that. As we would do with our kind of signature cocktails, something to hero some of those other flavor notes. So we've looked at kind of a couple of botanicals, some of those flavors that we found in the tea, and pulled them out as a little bit of a combination. All we're going to do with all of these different botanicals, we'd take some of these citrus peels, we're going to take our dried botanicals, and we're going to boil them together. So really like making a hot cup of tea using these aromatics instead of the tea itself. So we have some green cardamom, a great aromatic. It brings a bit of a cooling note, but it also has this wonderful kind of citrus quality to it. So it's a wonderful thing to be able to bring some of those top notes into the cocktail. Alongside that, again, to kind of marry into that brighter side, we have some fresh citrus. They're going to bring a little bit of oiliness, a little bit of bitterness, but also this wonderful vibrancy. And one of the other ingredients that's amazing to do this, you'll have it in your kind of kitchen cupboard, and you might not think it's going to bring this profile, but it's coriander seed. Now this is actually the botanical in gin that tends to bring all of those citrusy notes, all of that brightness. So we're using it almost like a tea again, we're steeping it down to be able to pull out some of those kind of brighter, more kind of aromatic, citrusy kind of qualities. But we want to underpin all of that, give it length, give it a bit of body, and we also want to kind of celebrate some of the red fruit notes that are in the tea itself. So we've got some dried cherries, they're also going to get steeped in this kind of like boiled up hot mixture. And to bring another bit of dimension to the drink, and similar to what we use tannins for, is using some chili. So we have some dry chili here. There's, again, heaps of varieties. You can choose your heat level. I've gone for the more mild style. I don't like it to be too hot, but that little bit of warmth on the end holds the flavors on your palate. It's actually a wonderful technique for being able to have something, again, that feels really adult as a non-alcoholic cocktail. And then another one of my all-time favorite ingredients is some honey. Again, loads of varieties to be able to explore. We've gone for a much more kind of fruity, floral profile. And we've simply cooked this all together. So brewed this part hot, and it's pulling out some of those added aromatics, but it brings this kind of wonderful complexity to marry against our tea. And the combination of the two together is where it gets really special. So what we're going to do is, like a cocktail, we're going to stir this over ice. We're going to open out some of those flavors. Because we have a good amount of dilution in there, we don't need lots of kind of dilution into this drink, but we want to cool it all down and get it married together. So lots of ice into our mixing vessel or our shaker. That's going to allow us to kind of really chill it down very, very quickly. And we're going to use 1 part of our botanical syrup. So we've taken the honey, the chili, the cherries, some citrus peel, the cardamom, and the coriander seed, and we've boiled them up, simply brought up to heat, allowed to steep, and then it's strained out. And then we're going to use 3 parts of our cold brew tea. So this has just been brewed in the fridge, strained out, lovely kind of brighter style profile of the tea. So we'll do 3 parts of the tea. And we're simply going to stir this over ice, make sure it's all married together. But it's a really simple way of kind of getting this all batched up. You can do this ahead of time. You can have this bottled and chilled, and then simply pour over ice, but just giving it this little bit of kind of breathing room at this stage, make sure it's married together, but nicely chilled down, simply mixed together. I'm going to take our rocks glass filled with a nice block of ice or cubed ice, and we're going to strain this over that block. So the beauty of this drink is it really sits almost like a spirit-forward cocktail. It's a condensed sipper, it's got this richness to it. We want to treat it like a cocktail. So I'm going to take a little coin of some orange. Doesn't need too much of a spray because we've got lots of aromatics in the drink. And to really make it sing as a cocktail, I'm going to garnish it with this cherry, hinting to some of those kind of redder notes within it. So it's almost like this is our tea old fashioned. It sips in a really kind of slow manner. You can cheers it like a cocktail and it feels like you're enjoying something just as complex and robust. And it's a really wonderful way of being able to still be amongst your friends even on those points where you're not drinking. Social, bright, super layered, and a really easy thing to be able to make at home. Cheers.